Good morning, everybody. Bruce Cervone here with your Wednesday morning wake-up call. So glad you could join me this morning. I sure hope that you're having a great day today. One thing that marriage conflict can come down to, the single one issue that marriage conflict can really come down to is, I want mine. I want mine, so you're not giving it to me, so I'm going to just cause conflict, okay? And it can go both ways. Either it's coming from your spouse or it's coming from you. But this is basically what the conflict comes down to, okay? Is you don't feel like you're getting what you're supposed to be getting from the relationship because of your deep desires for whatever it is, or your desire for joy and for happiness. And quite frankly, you can't expect your spouse to make you happy or make you joyful if you're not, because you haven't dealt with any of the family wounds or injuries or trauma or any other issues that you have that you brought into the marriage. So the Apostle James kind of gives us a clue into this and helps us out further down the line in terms of what we can do. And James says this in chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. He says, "What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You want something, but don't get it. You kill and covet, but you cannot have what you want. You quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God." And basically what he's saying here is that, all this conflict that we build up because we don't get what we want out of the relationship, we start to covet what or want what others have. Man, look at Bob and Susan. They've got this great marriage, and why can't my marriage be like that? So why can't my marriage be like my parents if they had a great marriage, or so on and so forth? Or, they have all this or they have all that. We start looking at other people's marriages instead of really looking at and working out our own, and we start to get into this comparison and resentment issue. And then, we just start blowing things up because we're expecting our spouses to make us happy or find that joy, when we've got to have that joy, that internal joy and that internal happiness on our own. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Happy marriages are created by happy people. So if you're not happy and joyful to begin with, if you aren't seeking God in the middle of your relationship to fill those holes that you have in your life, or to bring you joy and happiness in your life, you're not going to find it. James goes on to say later on in verse 10, he says, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up." And this is what it means, folks, and this is what I want to challenge you with over the course of the next couple weeks or so, is that if we submit ourselves, if we humble ourselves before the Lord, he's going to lift us up. When we get lifted up, when we start feeling that joy, when we start feeling that happiness, when we start feeling that our desires are being met through the Lord, it's going to be way easier for us to serve and fulfill the needs of our spouse. Because if we keep going around saying, "I want mine," you're not giving them theirs. And if you're not giving them theirs, they're definitely not going to give you yours. So let's take this challenge and just humble yourselves before the Lord. Put the God in the middle of your relationship. Serve your spouse. Submit to the Lord. See how he begins to take care of the needs that you have that need to be met. And it could be that all of a sudden you, by submitting to the Lord, that you allow your spouse to start taking care of some of those needs that you have. When we humble ourselves before the Lord, he will lift us up. When we are lifted up, it is easier to encourage our spouses and to lift them up as well. And guys, for you, that is almost basically a commandment that God gives us in Ephesians, is that we are supposed to hold our wives to another level. We are supposed to lift them up and wash them in the Word. Take on that challenge. See how it works. My videos are going to start going every other week now, so I don't bombard you every week. But if you like them, please share them. Let other people in on it, and hopefully they'll be encouraged as well. God loves you. I love you. Have a great week. God bless.